everyone. Welcome to HOA Fight Club. I'm Raylene Schifano. Today I want to go over the part 4 of my horror story. This part has to do mainly with the board president. So the last time I left office, we were walking to our car and she almost ran us over, my daughter and I. And so when I got to work that day, I emailed the property manager. At the time, it was Target Real Estate, and asked for them, what are you going to do? Somebody needs to do something because this board president is, kind of lost her mind. And I don't know if I'm safe or if my daughter's safe. At that moment, I actually had my daughter go live somewhere else because I didn't want her to be caught doing something. They were constantly trying to get us on things. And so I didn't want her to be in that position and to be in jeopardy. So I did that and I asked for the hearing with the board. Well, I didn't even call it a hearing. I didn't even know we could have hearings. I just asked if I could meet with the board. So I went in that night that they scheduled for the meeting with the board, and they said, well, the board president has resigned. And I had asked because I got a $100 fine for my daughter's calling her the B word. So I got the $100 fine, and that's what I was contesting. Because she had caused the incident, I felt that she should have been fined, or we both should have been brought in together and tried to solve this. That was my goal, was just to stop the nonsense. So she said that she had resigned and that she wasn't going to be on the board anymore, so it wasn't going to matter. And they just kind of laughed it off, like the fact that I even asked to be heard by them. This isn't something they did at all. So at that point, I felt that I was in jeopardy. And so I had gone to the courthouse and filed for a no contact order in the state of Washington. At this time, I was so overwhelmed. The board president the next day, or that night after I left the hearing, was appointed as president again. So she really didn't quit. They just had her hide until I came in for the hearing, and then they brought her right back in. So it was, just nonsense. They had taken the fences down because they were going to replace them. And we had actually put up security cameras in the house to videotape what's happening on the inside of the house and what's happening on the outside of the house because of all the stuff. Our security alarm was going off constantly. The back door was constantly being hit by something and setting off the alarm. And so we found out why that was doing that later, but I won't get into that now. That had to do with the water intrusion issue that was causing that. But going to the courthouse, I was overwhelmed. I didn't have an attorney. The board president, Noreen, and her friend, came into the courthouse, and they had the attorney, and it was actually the same office of attorneys that represented the homeowners association. Now, I didn't put a restraining order on her as the board president. I put the restraining order on her as an individual because she as an individual was showing up on my backyard cameras. When the fences went down, I caught her on videotape peeking in our house. Like I said, I actually had them on videotape circling constantly around because, the property was done in a square, but, you drove around the property. I have evidence of the walkie-talkies and the people following us. I had taken videos of a gentleman that would do what she would ask him to do. And so he was following us everywhere. And so I just felt like I wasn't safe. The court, I was so overwhelmed, and I had so much evidence, and I didn't know what to do with all this evidence and how to get it to them. And at the end of the day, I learned it was really overwhelming to have a lot of evidence. And so that was kind of my first lesson. The judge said she felt that it was the HOA association that was actually harassing me. So I'd have to reapply and put it on the association, and she just told the board president to stay away from me. Well, that was the moment that I went and demanded that she be, taken off the board. My goal was going to be a recall of the board at this point. So I'd gone in and got the documents and started going over things and how to become, what to do. I had no idea what Robert's Rules of Order was. I had no idea what a declaration or bylaws or truly how to use them, the law. So I had made myself a binder and started going through things, putting things in there, highlighting, tabbing them, gathering documents. One homeowner had the documents for the association, every board meeting minute all the way back to about 2005. And so when I started reading all these documents, it was amazing what I found. And we'll go over that on the next one, because I think it's really important to understand the minutes of the board and how they affected the community and what they were doing to scare the community. I mean, it was an intimidation factor. And anytime the board had had problems in the past, they would intimidate the homeowners and they would completely fall apart and leave or just be quiet. There were so many that were afraid of this board at the time. So I didn't get the restraining order at the time. That day I ended up in the hospital I was throwing up. I was, I couldn't keep anything down. The anxiety of everything was just overwhelming that day. So the physical damages started to show, what I was going through. And this is one I really got serious about the declaration and bylaws. So in the next one of my horror story, I will go over the lessons I learned about how to use the association governing documents and what I did, because I kept being fined. So the $100 fine was dropped for my daughter calling the board president a name, because they have to give you a warning. But the fines kept coming. So I will go over our next fines on the next video that I do on my horror story, and I'll see you on that one. All right.